Welcome to our midweek devotional time at First United Methodist Church in Warren. This week, in place of a traditional message, we're going to hear a series of very brief devotional thoughts that were shared originally as radio broadcast about a decade ago in Erie. These are simply thoughts for the day, but with the gift of music and the message that comes to us through these devotional times, hopefully your lives will be touched and you will feel God's presence in some special way. Do you have a favorite disciple? Personally, I've always been partial to Andrew. It's Andrew more than any other who seems to embody a true desire to share his relationship with the Lord with others. In the Gospel of John, we read that Andrew, as a follower of John the Baptist, is seeking direction for his spiritual life. I suspect this journey of faith must have taken some time, yet once he realizes that this is what he's looking for can be found in Jesus, he doesn't rush to Christ, but rather seeks out his brother. In the Gospel of John, we read, he first found his brother Simon and said to him, "We have found the Messiah." He brought Simon to Jesus, who looked at him and said, "You are Simon, son of John. You are to be called Peter." I've always been impressed by the fact that once Andrew found what he was seeking for and in need of in his life, his first response was not to grab it only for himself, but rather intentionally to share it with another. Now, I don't know how many times I've heard people say that their faith is a very personal thing to them. So much so that they often feel uncomfortable talking about it with others. Subsequently, very few of us are willing to share about our faith openly with anyone. I can't help wondering what this world would be like today if dear old Andrew had done the same thing. What if Peter had never met the Lord? Where might you or I be today? As followers of Jesus, we have a responsibility to be sharers of Jesus also. Who knows whose life, or how many lives for that matter, might be changed by taking the time to share what you have found in your faith journey with another. The true and faithful disciple shares what he or she has found in Christ. Share the love of Christ with someone you love today, and you will be greatly blessed. I remember it quite clearly. The entire family arose early. Lunch boxes were packed. New sneakers were tied. My wife fed the children their favorite breakfast at the kitchen table. I loaded the boys into the back seat of the car to deliver them to school for their first day of first and second grade. We arrived early, stood outside for several minutes with scores of other parents and children. Many things go through one's mind as you stand and wait for that first school bell of the year to ring. My children were no different. Half-hearted smiles and comments, "I don't want to go to school, and I guess I'll like my class," quickly turned to full-blown laughter and energetic high fives as they greeted fellow classmates that they had not seen all summer. The tentativeness of the early morning quickly disappeared as my sons raced to their respective classrooms to begin the new year. Simply knowing a friend was there to go with them to class made all the difference in how they approached the day. With a friend by their side, there was nothing to fear and everything to celebrate. A friend made the difference. Well, the same is true for each of us as well. The challenges of life sometimes leave even the most self-assured of us worried and uneasy about the future and what it holds. What challenges are you facing in your life's journey? What decisions must you make in order to move forward with your life? Rest assured that a friend is with you, ready, willing, and able to accompany you all of life's way. Treat this day as if it were the first day of school for you as well, and take hold of the hand of a friend who will always stand by your side and greet each day with confidence and with joy. Matthew 28:20. Remember, I am with you always to the end of the age. Did your family take a vacation this summer? Does your job require you to be on the road regularly? Some people enjoy sitting behind the steering wheel of a car and driving long distances. I, for one, however, have never been excited about those trips. Despite all the things there are to see and do along the way, there are always those times during the drive when you realize that your car has been moving and you have been steering, and yet you don't really remember how you got to where you are in that particular moment. Professionals refer to that as some kind of a hypnosis that lulls us, not exactly to sleep, but certainly into a state in which we're not being attentive to what's going on around us. It occurs to me that many of us have the same experience with life in general. We move along, going about our own business, doing what we think needs to be done, and then we wake up one day wondering how we've gotten to the place where we find ourselves, questioning where our life has gone. I like to think of life as a kind of journey or trip, how terrible it is to think that I might have missed something along the way because I wasn't paying attention to what was going on around me. What is it that lulls you to sleep, prevents you from experiencing joy? Are you so busy simply trying to get through life that you've forgotten how to enjoy it? Take time today to open your eyes and your heart to the blessings that God has shown you, and be thankful that you still have time to enjoy the rest of the ride. Two men were riding a bicycle built for two when they came to a big steep hill. It took a great deal of struggle for the men to complete what proved to be a very stiff climb. When they got to the top, the man in front turned to the other and said, "Boy, that sure was a hard climb." The fellow in the back replied, "Yes, if I hadn't kept the brakes on all the way, we would have rolled backwards down the hill." I've always liked that story because it reminds me of something important. Everybody has a different perspective on things in life. It's like the old adage of how some people look at a glass of water and see it half empty, others look at the same glass and find it half full. What's important to recognize is that neither one is more correct than the other. In fact, each in his own way is right. In the story of the bikers making their way up the hill, both individuals believed they were doing the right thing. One was aggressively pedaling to make the bike go up, while the other was cautiously protecting that the bike would not lose any ground. Well, when it comes to life, whether it be home life or life on the job, life in the church, There will always be individuals with whom we do not see eye to eye, but hopefully we can remember that we all have the same goal in mind. Some people are peddlers and others are breakers. The sooner we recognize that fact and work together, the smoother and quicker the ride will be. Can I help you? I remember an afternoon several years ago, I was out in the backyard doing some end of the season yard work when my then 5-year-old son Aaron came running up to me and asked, "Daddy, can I help you?" And my first response was to say, but Aaron, you're not big enough to help. He replied, "Yes, I am, Daddy. I'm 5 years old now." Aaron proceeded to help me rake the leaves, put away the swings, clean off the deck, and through it all, there was a smile on his face because he was allowed to help. Aaron was more ready to give than I realized. He was big enough to do his part. And in helping, he was able to feel good about himself. Think of that phrase, "Can I help you?" We hear it a lot, don't we? From the grocery store cashier, from the serviceman at the repair shop, and even from little children following after their parents. How often do we ask it ourselves? To the kids, can I help you with your homework? To the spouse, can I help you with the dishes? To a coworker, can I help you with those reports? To an elderly neighbor, can I help you with those groceries? To my church, can I help on this committee or give to that ministry? Helping, caring, sharing, giving, tithing should never be seen as chores. Instead, we should go about each with joy in our hearts and with smiles on our faces because we are allowed to participate in the lives of others. The spiritually mature seek out opportunities to share and to give. Thank God we have a heavenly parent who knows we are big enough for the job. And thank God for allowing us to serve him as we help others in his name. Where does God need your help today? Matthew 14, 25 through 30. Early in the morning, he came walking toward them on the sea. Jesus spoke to them and said, "Take heart, it is I, do not be afraid." Peter answered him, "Lord, if it is you, command me to come to you on the water." He said, "Come." Peter got out of the boat, started walking on the water and came toward Jesus. But when he noticed the strong wind, he became frightened, and beginning to sink, he cried out, "Lord, save me." Peter was willing to risk anything to go to Jesus. He knew the waters were dangerous, and yet he took steps to Christ. Only when he stopped looking ahead and began to concern himself with what he thought was an immediate danger, the storm, the waves, the wind, did he stumble and begin to fall. Well, likewise, it is when we turn our attention from what is really important that we begin to waver in our faith. and maybe even sink. Charles Blondin, a famous French acrobat of the mid-19th century, claimed that he could walk a tightrope across Niagara Falls. Most people of that day believed he was crazy and that there was no possible way for him to accomplish such a feat. Then one day in 1859, he began his death-defying walk across the falls. Thousands gathered to watch this man walk high above the roaring waters with no net to save him if he were to fall. Almost everyone there gathered, thinking that he could not possibly make it across. They stood quietly at first, but as time passed and he reached the midway point, the crowds became excited, loud, and as he neared the other side, they were cheering at the top of their lungs. And by the time he reached the U.S. side safely, the crowd was in literal frenzy. Once safely across, he asked the delighted crowd, "Do you now believe that I can walk safely back to the other side?" "Yes, yes," they all shouted. "Do you believe I can guide a wheelbarrow across?" "Yes, yes, we do." And then once again he said, "Do you believe that I can guide a wheelbarrow with a man inside safely across?" "Yes." "Well, which of you will volunteer to be that person?" And the crowd almost instantly was silent. See, they believed as long as they were not directly involved. We must be committed, we must be excited, and we must trust in the one who calls us to follow. Do so with joy and be blessed.